ask Daryl to go ahead and start the recording.
I just did.
Oh, sorry. I'll ask Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer, for starting the recording. So I'm going to call this meeting to order at 10:02. Again, if you are attending, please sign in. There's a link in the agenda, and Daryl also put it in the chat so you can sign in and we can get proper attendance. Ready to move forward. I know that Tracy is on, and she's always first up in this meeting. So Tracy, if you're ready, we'll start with the issue tracker.
Absolutely. I like this, that it's a lot smaller right now. A couple items. That is until I ask if I need to add anything, right? Pitkin and Vale, we are still kind of pending updates from Motorola. It's their equipment that's on site, and I have not heard from my team. I know it used to be Vicky, and now they would be working both with Andrew and Kathy. But I haven't heard that Motorola is ready to proceed on that. So I'm just leaving it open and kind of pending them getting their CPE updated. I do have a little bit of an update on the 911 transfers across state line. I don't see Kimberly on today. She primarily was asking for this when it comes to the Wyoming-Colorado border because that's obviously her territory, and there's a whole lot of calls that often come in on the way to Wyoming. Did some investigation on our side, and technically this is a solution that's possible. I think that we all know that. However, there is a lot of work that needs to be done before that can happen. Some of Wyoming is still basic 911 and some is E911. None of Wyoming is NG 911. So from a technology point, they don't have the ability to do this. What would hold things up on our side is obviously it's got to be funding from the state. So we can talk internally as far as different options. Kevin Newton has provided me with a lot of detail, Tim Kunkelman as well. It can be done, but it has to be done with funding from Wyoming. And I'm not quite sure how everyone goes about getting that because I haven't worked with Wyoming yet. So we certainly can leave it up there as a future option, but I might have to refer, maybe Daryl or someone on this call knows the best way for us to engage Wyoming in those conversations. I can do some digging, but I personally don't have contacts for that state.
They have a state 911 program manager,
Okay.
basically an equivalent of me and Jennifer. So I will get you in contact with them. And okay. It's not just Wyoming. I mean, we need this in the eastern counties that border Kansas. We need this on the western counties that border Utah and bordering. We need it all around the state. So anything I can do as far as getting conversations started, or anything we can do, I should say, getting conversations started with those with our equivalents in other states, we're happy to do that.
Okay, and I think one key thing I have been told, if we have adjoining states that are also fully on the ESInet, that makes it a little bit easier. I've been working with my counterpart, Angela Schweier, who does Nebraska, and it's a quicker process if we have both states on the ESInet. So I can also look into that and share the information on that one and find out which states that touch Colorado have ESInet.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, Tracy kind of answered my question, but I'll ask it anyway. And that was whether or not Lumen was also an ESInet provider in any of our neighboring states, and would that make the process easier? So it sounds like yes for Nebraska. Is that anywhere the case elsewhere?
Yeah, if the state is fully on the ESInet with us, then yes, it is easier. It still is going to be a full-blown project within Lumen Entrado in both states. But it makes it a lot easier because everybody's kind of on the same playing field as far as NG 911 and ESInet go. And like I said, I can either bring Kevin Newton on a call or I can get the information from him. But we can do this if it's ESInet to ESInet.
Is Nebraska the only neighboring state that is on a Lumen ESInet?
I would have to check. The only reason I know Nebraska is because I assisted with their ESInet rollout. So let me get with Cindy Berry and just find out which other states might have that ability.
Okay.
This is Daryl. I'm not sure about Utah. Kansas is an AT&T ESInet state, but not all of their PSAPs are on the ESInet, so they're not a Lumen ESInet, and in some cases they might still be analog.
Okay.
New Mexico is I think they're still analog legacy.
And I can also check and see if there are any conversations taking place within those states to migrate to ESInet as well. We have different PMs assigned to each state, and Cindy oversees everything in the Western United States, so she might have a good idea.
Right.
Other than the two outstanding items, I'll throw it out to all of the PSAPs. Are there any issues that have come up within the last month that I should be aware of, or anyone on my team should be aware of? I know I have a couple of folks on here that could probably help with some questions if needed. It's going to take up. Is Matt on with El Paso County? Check.
Hey folks, this is Rich Johnston. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you, Rich. Can you hear us? Maybe not.
Rich.
Sorry, I think I just fixed my headset. Can you hear me now? I
Yes,
apologize.
we can.
Okay, sorry. And now you've talked about most of the things I've talked about, but yeah, Nebraska's the only neighboring state on the Lumen ESInet. Kansas is on AT&T, as said, but that is also a solution hosted by Entrado. So Utah is going to be Motorola. New Mexico is going through an RFP now. Wyoming is traditional TDM traffic. So from a technology perspective, we have solutions for all of those. I would say the thing that's going to take the most time and effort is getting all the interconnect agreements and relationships and documentation set up. The technology is there to support solutions in all those areas, one way or another.
Okay. Thanks, Rich.
And Rich, my understanding is that not all PSAPs in Kansas joined the AT&T ESInet, so there might still be some on legacy.
That is true. Yeah.
Yeah. And there might be some that are on the border with Colorado.
And I can look at that. I think it's like the Mocha region that didn't go, if I remember right, that didn't go on the AT&T ESInet. But I can check. I can get you a list.
Thank you.
But there would be a solution for that too. If there's the older solutions of just getting TDM trunks into the selective routers. So there is a solution for it. It gets, it's not as pretty and it's not as next gen, but we can send calls over TDM trunks to a neighboring selective router that's not on the system. It's again, just those who's going to pay for it, all the relationships, the interconnect agreements, risk assessments, all that stuff. But the technology's there.
Understood. Sounds like we need to have some conversations.
Yep. Anyone have anything else that we should add? All right.
Silence is golden, Tracy.
Say, Kathy, that's all I have. OSP migration is us. I talked to Judy Okondi, who is leading kind of this process with us. Let me take a peek real quick because I don't think she was included today. We have not started to do this in Colorado yet, and that is primarily just because Judy has not had the opportunity to have the conversation with the OSP. I think it was it Alloy, or I can't remember who was going to go first.
Allo.
We were waiting to kind of get their footprint in Colorado, and she has gotten tied up with OSP migrations in other states. So we have not started this yet. I know we sent the letter out, and I think everything's ready to go from your standpoint, but that's kind of at a standstill until Judy and team is ready to move on with the state of Colorado.
Okay, great. Thank you. Follow-up items from last meeting. We didn't really have anything that needed to be followed up on, or if there is some conversation, it's later on in the agenda. So if we want to move to the monthly statistics, that'd be great.
Let me go ahead and take a look at these from my NOC. We didn't have anything exciting to share outside of, tariff requirements. I know last month we had a couple, I think it was like July 17th on test completion codes, the number jumped up, but there wasn't anything that my NOC management could find that would reference why. And again, for this one, this is just network performance. So we ping each probe every 7 minutes. Everything's working well. Nothing too exciting to report on test completion codes. We look at MOS by PSAP, and again, anything that's 1 is bad, 5 is excellent. We can look up here. We're above the 4 line for all of our PSAPs for the month of August. So that's what we expect to see. Taking a look at the Longmont Miami, which is the CMC route again. 1, we don't want to see. 5 is excellent. So, looking at this, we're well within what's required within the tariff. Good news on that one. When we switch over to packet loss, I do have a ticket in again, but this is something that does not, it doesn't come out of place where the tariff is, but something at the early part of August, 14th, 15th, 16th, we did have a jump. It was on 9/5. I put in a request to the team just to see if there was any reason for the spike, but nothing too exciting to report there. And then we look at jitter, which is our last graph, less than or equal to 20 milliseconds. As noted on here, we have to measure this in microseconds, otherwise we wouldn't see anything on the graph. And we didn't see anything that would cause concern as far as jitter goes for the month of August.
Looks good.
My NOC likes it when they don't have to bother them with additional questions.
Yeah.
And because of the spike that's showing on this one, on the packet loss graph, if anyone's curious, the limit in the tariff is 0.5 before it becomes a quality of service issue.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to add there, Daryl, that this would not even be noticeable at all. We're talking about 0.15 of 1%. So it looks dramatic, but it wouldn't at all be noticeable by any either the calling party or the PSAP.
Good.
Okay.
Ooh,
Oh.
cats.
Move on to old business. We have OSP migration to IP. And I'm assuming that would be Lumen.
I think we just covered that.
Oh, okay.
That's the
Thank
one
you.
that we haven't progressed forward with. It's a different team. I did reach out to Judy, and she's working
Oh,
completing another state right now.
thanks. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Okay. And I don't see Tim Kunkelman on.
I can help you guys with ECATs. And also,
Okay.
I have invited Courtney from Intrado to join this call. Courtney and I are the two that are working with the individual PSAPs on the ECATs deployment. We have sent out paperwork to all of the PSAPs as far as what Intrado needs to get this rolled out. I know that Courtney is sending out equipment as she gets the paperwork. We have, I want to say 5 installs that we have scheduled for the month of September. If there are questions, I know there's a few PSAPs on the call that have already reached out to us. We've been scheduling maybe 5-minute meetings to help clarify questions that you guys have. and we're happy to continue to do that. I don't know, Courtney, if you have anything you want to add. The process I know is moving a little slower than we would like. I mean, 90 some PSAPs that we'd like to roll this out to, and we have only 5 scheduled. So if there's anything we can do to help you guys get your documentation completed, filled out, and turned in, we're happy to help.
All right. Thanks, Tracy. Appreciate that.
What are the ones you have scheduled?
Let me pull it up real quick. I have it. Just was looking at this the other day because Jeff had asked me. Let's see. So Pitkin County, we've been working with Jeremy, and they're kind of doing a self-install, but we're helping them through the process. We have Grand Junction scheduled for 9/14, East Rio Blanco 9/15, Vale is on 9/18, Letta is going to be the week of 9/18, and Delta County September 19th is how the schedule looks right now. I don't know, Courtney, that's the latest I have. Have you gotten any scheduled past the 20th of September?
Not yet. Those are the only sites that I have so far.
Okay.
Jennifer, go ahead.
Thank you. And I've been working with Tracy on email through this, but since Courtney's here as well, I was curious to know if the work that Matt and his team did getting the WRA requests, does that fulfill all of the information that you need on that for each PSAP? And if so, I can send out an email to our PSAPs and let them know that that part of the data request is done and that they only have to fill out the PSAP specific information. But I wanted to verify that that was true before I sent that out.
Hey, Jennifer. Yeah, no problem. I actually haven't heard back from Jonathan yet. I'm planning on pinging him right now, actually, to get you that answer, because I know you need that by tomorrow.
Well, it's not that I need it, but I appreciate that. I just think if that information went out, it might help you get more PSAPs to complete their paperwork, since they know they don't have to reach out to the cell companies and get that information. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to note for the users group that I was able to pull what I believe are all cellular antenna sectors for the entire state of Colorado for all towers. 120,871 sectors, I believe it is. So the OSPs that are serviced by Intrado, serviced by Comtech, and then T-Mobile Direct. But the caveat with that should be that this is just to assist your initial setup for ECATs. You should then verify that the sectors that are available to you from this data are correct. This is not a guarantee that they're all correct for you. And then going forward, it will be each PSAP or governing body's responsibility to update and maintain those sectors, add, change, or delete as needed.
Can you say that number
was
again?
A lot of work. Thank you, Matt.
It was very time consuming. We had to jump through some hoops a couple of times with some of the providers. It was 120,871 sectors statewide. Again, this was from Intrado and Comtech for the wireless OSPs for which they provide wireless services, wireless 911 services, and then direct with T-Mobile. But this is not a guarantee that it's complete or accurate. It was just working with them to pull en masse from their databases in the right format.
I never would have guessed we had that many cell sectors in Colorado. Thank you for all that work.
You bet. It seemed better than having 58 911 authority requests, or what is it, 87 PSAPs making separate requests to each of those entities.
Right.
So
I'm sure they appreciated it as well.
well, and that was kind of the carrot that I used, was this is an effort to help you from being deluged with all of these requests. So give me what you got.
Do you want
it seemed to work.
calls or mine?
Yeah. But just keep in mind, double check what data was made available for you, and then it's on you to maintain it going forward.
Sounds good. And Matt, I just want to say thank you very much for all of that work. I know that everybody appreciates it. Okay, anything else on the ECATS deployment update from anybody? Okay, let's go to the parking lot. These are the topics that we have in the parking lot. Right now, we're keeping them there unless somebody feels it is beneficial or the time to pull it out of the parking lot. Does anybody have any comments on any one of these items?
Do we want to pull Cheyenne Mountain off of that list at the bottom?
Yeah, do we know-
Yeah.
Yeah.
we know
Yes.
for sure that they're closing down.
Daryl, I can share that they did tell us they were closing down, and Kevin Newton was working with Entrado to make sure that everything was routing correctly. We've been a part of their weekly calls for about a month now.
Okay. I think I'd like to keep it on until we get official word that it's been closed, just so we can keep track of what the status of it is. If that's okay.
That sounds fine.
I don't want to pull anything off of here, but I do want to just mention that a group of us have been meeting with, including Kathy and Matt, have been meeting with CenturyLink, and I think Entrado has been part of those calls as well, to talk about geospatial routing and text to 911 with the goal of having something that can be brought to this committee for starting a discussion at some point in the future. We don't have a particular date we're shooting for on right now. But those discussions are ongoing.
Thanks, Daryl. Okay, hearing nothing, we can move back. New business, and this is going to be for Daryl with an update on the current outages and investigations.
I was trying to get that up on the screen. Yeah, so Kathy asked me to talk about current outages. We don't have any current outages. We do have a number of investigations ongoing. This is under the new investigation process that was part of the rulemaking that went into effect at the end of March of this year. So these only go back to March. And I'm going to make this a little bigger, otherwise you can't even see a full row. This is a status spreadsheet that is on the 911 program webpage. So anybody can go and look at this at any time and see what the status of the investigations are. You'll see that there are a few investigations that have been completed, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 active open investigations. I can tell you that when we were discussing this in the rulemaking workshop to create this process, it was not my anticipation that we'd have this many active investigations open at a time. The criteria for what gets an investigation is actually set by the task force. The task force provides a list of criteria that it thinks should receive some additional scrutiny from commission staff. And one of those criteria is one that we used even before this process when we were doing the voluntary outage investigation process through the outage committee, and that was that any outage over 4 hours in duration should get an investigation. And unfortunately, over the last year, pretty much every outage has been over 4 hours in duration. There is also an issue with commission staff and CenturyLink or Lumen, I should say, not agreeing necessarily on what a reportable outage is. And because of that disagreement and the apparent violation of commission rules regarding notifications, those get investigated as well. So it's caused quite a backlog, but we're working through them as best we can. If anybody has any questions about any particular outage on here, I don't know if we want to go through all of them because there are 10 of them and they're very complicated, but I'm happy to try to answer what we know about them. Joe?
My question is, I know during the pandemic, our outages went down because there was a lot of construction work being done. Is this a surge back in the total number of outages as well? Is that why we're seeing this larger number of investigations too? Is we're just having more outages?
I don't believe we're having more outages. I think the outages are longer in duration. That's what the stats are showing than they have been in the past. So we're having the same number of outages, but they're taking longer to resolve, which is what's triggering the investigation. But I will say that a lot more of the outages seem to be construction related this year than in the past couple of years.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Daryl? Cameron?
Daryl, I may need some help from you. We can talk offline in reference to ours. Solacom's not really being very responsive with me on ours.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll talk offline.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay. That is a lot of outages. Just seems like it. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the kickoff for the strategic plan update, and that is Jennifer and myself. Jennifer, I'll let you go ahead and go first.
Alrighty, well, last year we put together a fantastic strategic plan, and it states in that plan that it will be updated on an annual basis, so it's that time again. I did go through the plan and make some red line updates on stuff that we know that has changed, and it is now ready to go out to process, however you guys want to set up the process, and I think Kathy has some ideas about that. So I'll kick it back to Kathy.
Sure. Instead of inundating everybody in this group with taking a look at this, my thought is to have a group of people, a work group per se, to take a look. Jennifer and Daryl have already done a lot of work on this document. I went through some of it today and did not get through all of it. But I was thinking that a work group might be beneficial. And then once that group has gone through it and agree with changes, then we could put it out to the entire group. But I need to know if that's acceptable for everybody and if that's the way we want to move forward. If anybody has any other ideas, let me know.
This is Matt. That sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
And I
So now
volunteer Matt to be on that committee because he's our unofficial copywriter and proofreader.
I know.
Well,
Now
then
my
I
next-
volunteer Joe.
I don't need to ask my next question then. So see, I know that everybody here has all the extra time in the world, so I'm thinking maybe if we have a group of, I want to say 4 or 5, to look over this document, that'd be great. I volunteered to do it. Looks like Matt has been voluntold, and apparently Joe, if he can do it, has been voluntold. So, and I'm not seeing any, no, I can't do it from either Matt or Joe. So it looks like we would need maybe 2 more people. Okay, thanks, Matt.
This is Andrew. I'd be happy to put some eyes on it.
Thank you, Andrew. Can I get one more to dive in?
Jeff Irvinall. Hop on.
Great, Jeff. Thank you. All right. So we've got Andrew, Jeff, Matt, myself, and Joe. That'll be great. So we'll send that out to, or I say Jennifer or Daryl will send it out once they, and I'm not sure if you guys have completed your changes yet, because like I said, I didn't get through the whole document, but then we'll send it out for review with, a date to get back. And then hopefully we can give it out to the group, present it to the group at the next meeting, if that works for everybody. Okay, good to go. Next is the open discussion. Do we have any concerns from the PSAPs to Lumen? Okay, hearing none. Anything from Lumen to the PSAPs?
No concerns. Just again, let us know how we can help you guys with your information for ECATs. And I think, Courtney, once we hear back from you, we'll be able to know more.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tracy. We also have a reminder that the FEMA WIA test, October 4th, 2023 at noon, our time, local time. And next, public comment. Any non-voting members are welcome at this time to provide comments. Do we have any non-voting members? Okay, hearing none, looks like we've hit adjournment and everybody gets 27 minutes back to their day. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned at 10:33. Bye-bye,
Have a good day,
everybody.
everybody.
Have a good day.